Hello and welcome everyone to the launch of the Tech Chaplaincy Institute. My name is Shamika Goddard. I'm gathered here with several wonderful people who are excited and ready to help celebrate this launch, who will be introduced shortly. The first thing we want to talk about is the fact that it is Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to everyone. I shared a video earlier today from Vox that has a really great explanation of the history of Juneteenth and why we celebrate it. The next thing that we want to celebrate today is my grandmother's birthday. She was born on Juneteenth, on Father's Day, the third of triplets, and it was such an incredible blessing that it made the San Antonio Informer paper. So my grandma turned 71 today, and I'm so excited to share her birthday with the launch of the Tech Chaplaincy Institute. The next thing that we want to talk about, of course, is the Tech Chaplaincy Institute. That's what we're here to celebrate as well. So there's several things that have happened over the course of the years to get us to this point today. I was a student at Union Theological Seminary in the city of New York, and I was studying to figure out who I could serve and how I could serve them after a year of service with AmeriCorps. My first semester, I was helping people with their technology and found that I was helping so many people that I needed help helping them. So I went to the IT department and asked if they would have drop-in hours or do something for students. And they said the best thing they could have said, which was, no, we're gonna help you do that by supporting you in the work that you're already doing. So the IT department hired me on, and that was the framework from which I was able to start developing Tech Chaplaincy. I had conversations with other people on campus, and Reverend Greg Horn, when he heard me talking and describing the experiences I was having working with people and their technology, he said, it sounds to me like what you're doing is chaplaincy. You're meeting people in a moment of crisis and helping them find dignity, and you're really practicing a ministry of presence. So that's where the concept of Tech Chaplaincy came from, was those early days in seminary in New York, helping people with their technology. And today, what we have is an organization that is geared towards helping people in places of faith, mission-driven organizations, and faith communities that are open and affirming, social justice-oriented entities who need help with their technology. So I'd like to introduce you to who we are today. I am Shamika Goddard. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I love to teach people how to use their technology and help empower them with the technology that they have. I'd love to introduce you to the next person here, who is Patrick.
My name is Patrick Rwamasirabo, and I have been with the Tech Chaplain almost since its inception. So my field, I'm an expert in information security, and I have been in the field of IT over 15 years. And I'm very excited to work with Tech Chaplain. So better you join our team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then we have Javon. Want to introduce yourself?
Yes. So my name is Javon Bracey. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I came to Denver almost 3 years ago to start school at Isla School of Theology. And I just graduated with my MDiv earlier this month. I am a part-time youth minister and social media minister at New Hope Baptist Church here in Denver, Colorado. And as a tech chaplain, my primary area of focus is digital communication.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the way that we've set up Tech Chaplaincy, we really want to highlight how we've been inspired by the best practices of pastoral care and chaplaincy. As I mentioned before, we have a ministry of presence that we use when we're engaging people with their technology. And we also want to help folks go from fear and anxiety around technology to empowerment. And walking that path and journeying with people does take that pastoral care and that pastoral perspective when engaging with them. We have several elements of digital citizenry that have been highlighted by Mike Ribble, which we use as a framework to help folks understand how we can help them with their technology. There's 6 main elements out of the 9 that we like to focus on. The first one is digital access. We have a project called the 100 Websites Project, where we want to help create or update 100 websites over the course of the next 5 years. This is going to help entities and organizations get out there in the world through the digital space. And it also has an opportunity for folks to not only create or update their website, but learn how to sustain that over time. Next, we have digital commerce, which is more than just online stores. If you are a faith community or if you're a mission-driven organization, you're taking donations, you're taking tithes and offering. So it's really helpful to know how to incorporate that into the digital tools that you have and make that as easy as possible for folks to engage with. Next, we have digital communication, as was mentioned. We have social media. So being able to manage your social media presence, know which tools make sense for your organization, and learn how to do these things in a way that makes sense. There's also inbox zero, which is one of my favorite things. There are so many folks walking around who have hundreds, if not thousands, of unread emails in their inbox, and that is a spiritual crisis and a digital crisis if I've ever heard of one. So what we like to do is help you get down to inbox zero and learn how to stay there, how to manage your email, and how to improve your relationship to your email so that your inbox is working for you and not the other way around. Next is digital and tech literacy, which is what I love to do. So teaching people how to use the tools they have helps make a huge difference in how you engage with those tools. Imagine if you were driving a car, but you never had driver's ed. And a lot of us have these really high-tech tools like a cell phone, a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, and we don't necessarily have the same kind of training and teaching and someone to help guide us through using these things. So tech literacy, whether it's hardware or software, is something that I love to do with folks. Next, we have digital health and wellness. So it's super important to be able to balance the experience that you have with technology and the digital space. The virtual space isn't the opposite of real, it's the opposite of physical. That's something that Reverend Jim Keat said. And so it's important to recognize that just as we take rest and Sabbath in our offline lives, it's important to figure out how to do that well in our online lives. And then finally, we have digital security. So how are you managing your passwords? How are you dealing with adware, spamware, or malware? These are the kinds of things that we focus on with digital security to ensure that all of your devices and all of your digital spaces are secure and that you understand how to keep them that way. I've been chatting a lot and I really want you to be able to hear from other voices today. So we have a testimonial from Cath Renewal, who's the CEO of The Faith Space, who wants to share a little bit about her experiences with tech chaplaincy. So Catherine, go ahead.
Thank you, Shamika. I'm so excited to be here. I could listen to you all day, though. I know you're saying you're talking a lot, but I love it. I am a millennial, but I really don't understand tech. I call myself like an elder millennial. It's very weird. And so I met Shamika back in seminary at Union Theological Seminary, and she was actually one of the first people I met, because what is the first thing you do when you go to a new school? You set up an email account and you have to figure out your digital identity in that space. And so from day one meeting Shamika, she's always been very pastoral. And I actually know Patrick and Javon, and they're also very pastoral and hilarious. And you really need humor in spaces of, at least for me, sometimes panic, sometimes feeling very inadequate. Like I should know how to do these things. It can get very, very frustrating. And it can like really weigh on me. So I used Shamika and her guidance back then. And then now she actually serves on the board of the Faith Space, which is a nonprofit that I founded this past year. And we are uniquely at the intersection of spirituality and social justice. So we have a lot of, like, in the faith world and the activism world, we had a lot of needs that we needed help with, not just on the Google Drive side, but creating a website and a web presence on social media. Every step of the way, Shamika has been there. And I honestly do not know how I could have gotten through it without her. Just last week, she helped me for only a half hour. And it was something that I tried to do myself for 3 months. For 3 months. And it was so simple. And it took her like 7 minutes. And it actually isn't really her, right? Because what's cool about it is she empowered me to do it. So we shared the screen. And I was able to click the button myself. So that's the cool thing about chaplaincy. I served as a hospital chaplain for many years, so I know that side of pastoral care, but never had I imagined it really helping me in this way, not only as a person individually, but also as a leader of an organization, that I want to be more successful and more accessible to folks. Shamika has helped me every step of the way. And also weaving in the rituals of chaplaincy as well, and of the tech world. We now exist solely online. I'm sure a lot of organizations do now, not only churches, but companies. And it's been phenomenal every step of the way to check in with Shamika and get clear about really what our intentions are, really the kind of community we want to cultivate and how to do that. And it's very simple sometimes. It's just naming how to use Zoom in a more simple way, or empowering people to engage with us in a chat box when that's the mode that we have to engage with each other. We're not in physical spaces right now. There is no better time to hire a tech chaplain than in a pandemic, if you're wondering about it. But as a minister, I really was not trained at all in seminary. I know many ministers are out there watching this. Like, where was our tech class? We never got a single one. And so to hire a tech chaplain not only is really helpful and really empowering, but it's really making your organization or your business that much more successful. You're accessing the people you want to connect with. You're empowered when you do it. So you're not like, oh gosh, how do I do this? Ask anyone now who comes to the faith space. We have a rhythm and a flow, and it feels grounded when you're on a tech medium. That is something I did not have 3 months ago. And I could not have done this transition without Shamika's support with the tech side, and then the pastoral side of coaching me every step of the way. I want to tell people out there, you're not alone. You're really, really not alone. It felt so lonely for me. And I felt so incompetent at times. And it's a small thing for someone, sometimes on a tech device, but this little thing can be a very powerful window to the world, or it can really stifle creativity. I'm grateful that my relationship with my devices and with my community has been elevated by Shamika's work and by the Tech Chaplaincy Institute. So I am so happy to give this testimonial. And I can't wait to hear all the others that are going to come very quickly, I know. So if you're on the fence, should I do this? Absolutely do it. You will not regret it for an instant. It will help you not only business-wise and tech-wise, but you'll just feel more confident in how to use your own technology. We spend a lot of money on this stuff, and it's just sitting there, and we're wasting it if we don't know how to have relationships, not only with the tech, but it actually can infuse and empower deeper relationships with people. So if you're on the fence, please book a session. And also personally too, like I've given Shamika's information to family members of mine who are in a different generation, right? Who really struggle with tech as well. So it's completely accessible. If you're on the fence, do it. And I just want to say thank you, Shamika, for having me on. You are a gift to the world. And if anyone is wondering, this is absolute ministry. So thank you, Patrick and Javon as well. Like, you guys are leaning in and honoring the call of spirit in this space, and you're creating faith spaces wherever you go. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That is so sweet of you. I really appreciate your sharing your experiences. Now what we have for you all is a bit of a trivia game. All right, go ahead with the first question. What technology allowed the Gutenberg Bible to become the first book ever printed? A, typeface, B, the printing press, or C, a catapult? So the correct answer is the printing press. You might have heard of the Gutenberg Bible and the Gutenberg printing press. So that was one of the first times where technology and the church came together, and it was a quite the pairing. So if you haven't heard of the story, I highly recommend looking it up. It's a good one. So, ready for the next question? Here we go. Question number 2. Televangelists doesn't just mean televisions. Where did this form of ministry begin? A, the radio, B, the telegraph, or C, the telephone? So the correct answer is the radio, A. So televangelizing did start on the radio and then eventually jumped over to the television. All right, we've got our next question coming up. Question number 3. True or false? A drone was used to bring Eucharist down the aisle of a church during communion. This one may seem obvious, depending on what you answered, because the correct answer is true. There was a church that actually used a drone to bring the host down the aisle of a church. All right, our next question, question number 4. Which country has not had a robot clergy yet? A, India, B, Germany, C, Japan, or D, the United States? So for this one, the correct answer is D, the United States. As far as I can tell, this is the only country that hasn't yet had a robot clergy, but you can get a robot clergy to bless you in Germany, or give your funeral rites in Japan, or engage with you in India. So the United States, I'm sure, is right around the corner. Okay, so question number 5. Which rituals have been performed in the digital space? A, baptism, B, funeral, C, wedding, or D, all of the above? And of course, for this question, the correct answer is D. All of these things have been performed in the digital space, whether it's in a virtual reality space, or Second Life, or through Zoom. These things have been conducted in the digital space. All right, question number 6. Finland provided a service for answering prayers from Jesus using A, carrier pigeons, B, text message, or C, email. And for this question, the correct answer is text message. There was actually an SMS service in Finland where you could text the service and you would get a text response back, supposedly Jesus. All right, question number 7. Due to concerns of confidentiality, the Catholic Church in the Philippines discontinued confessions by email and handwritten letter, telephone and video call, or fax and text message. That's right, the correct answer is fax and text message. So people were faxing and texting their confessions, and the Catholic Church had to put the kibosh on it. All right, question number 8. What technology have some pastors used to better reach wider audiences? A, a Jumbotron, B, a hologram, or C, the Goodyear blimp? So for this one, the answer is B, holograms. There have been faith communities that have satellite churches where a hologram of the pastor will lead the services. All right, number 9. True or false? There are pastors who minister through video games. Think about it. And the correct answer is true. It is true. There are pastors who do minister through video games. And our final question. A new realm for church missions in the past few years has been A, virtual reality, B, underwater, or C, Reddit. And here the correct answer is virtual reality. Thank you so much for playing. And now we get to go to our question and answer portion of today's launch. So for that, I want to introduce my good friend, Hannah. Hannah is going to be helping engage with the discussion. So Hannah Solner, you want to introduce yourself here really quickly?
Hi, yes. Hey, everyone. My name is Hannah, and Shamika and I have been friends for 8 years. I was just there at the beginning with her at Union while she was working on all of this, and And we just did a lot of sort of talking back and forth and processing, and like, like Shamika is a human with many ideas, and just like, how can we talk through these, and like, also just like what way I can support her, because I think that her vision for all of this is really incredible. Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say thank you. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Cool. So yeah, this is a Q&A time. Just ask questions. I'm sure you've all had a Q&A experience. Just like, what kind of came to your mind, or what is curious?
And it does look like we do have a question that came in. What is Second Life? So Second Life is an online game in which you can create an avatar that looks like whatever you want it to look like. And then your avatar will move and navigate around this world called Second Life. And it is a world. There are untold landscapes where you can visit, and people have built up all kinds of shops and houses and things to do and places to go. There are faith communities in Second Life. There are people who actually hold services in the Second Life cathedrals that they created, like the Sunshine Church, I believe. I visited there once. And we'll put a picture of it in our social media when I went to Second Life Church. But it's still going on. It came out back in the either early or mid 2000s, I think, maybe even a little earlier, but it's still around. It's still going strong. So it was about 2003, I think. So that's what Second Life is. And I've participated in it over the course of the years, and I've seen it grow and kind of dwindle and grow again. So it's on the growing side now.
Awesome. That's great. If anybody else has questions, just send them on, and we will get them in the chat box. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for questions to come in, one of the things I was thinking of listening is, what if you're a person who listens to this or reads about it, and you're like, this is incredible, but I have like no idea like where to start with this. Could there even be like a tech audit, or just like these are some things that we could use that would be offered?
That's a great question. So yes, we actually do have a process for sort of capturing where you are right now and helping you figure out where you want to go and plotting that path to get there. So as the Tech Chaplaincy, as the Tech Chaplain Institute is set up, we do provide complimentary half sessions that you can take advantage of for us to have a conversation, for us to figure out, okay, what technologies are you using? What technologies do you wish you were using? What is your relationship to the technology you have now? What kinds of goals do you want to reach? And what difficulties are you having reaching those goals? So essentially what we're hoping to do in those initial conversations is to help both of us wrap our minds around where you are and think about, how can we get you to where you want to be?
Cool. Thank you so much for that answer. We got another question that somebody sent in. Is tech chaplain a niche term, or are you inventing this, or is this something that has existed for some time now?
That's another great question. So I came up with the term and the concept of tech chaplaincy back in January of 2014. So it is a concept that I came up with, and I need to send a postcard to myself so I can do the trademark, the copyright. But essentially, it is a concept that I developed and came up with during the first year of seminary. And it is something that I'm hoping that over the course of the next few years, as we establish ourselves, as the Tech Chaplaincy Institute grows, that we're able to position ourselves to train other people to become tech chaplains and work with us in the Tech Chaplaincy Institute so that we can serve even more people.
That's awesome. Here's another question that we had. What are the most common examples of a technological crisis, quote unquote, that you're able to guide someone through, or like sort of, what are some common things people have asked you for?
Absolutely. So I actually started off with students and serving them, and most students had issues with their emails. Their inboxes were completely stuffed full of emails, and they were having difficulty just navigating their inboxes. So the biggest technological crisis that I've come across for most folks across the board has been getting them down to inbox zero. And so that process is really one where we work together to orient you around what your inbox can do, and such as filters and labels and all of the other kinds of settings that you can put in place, and then help you actually deal with all of the emails in your inbox. So there's essentially two different ways or two different steps to getting down to inbox zero. One of them is dealing with the current emails, and the other one is dealing with emails, the new emails that will eventually come in. Because we could get you down to inbox zero, but then you'll be right back there in a couple of weeks. So the idea is, as we get you down to inbox zero, we also give you the tools you need to figure out how to stay there. So that's one of the bigger technological crises that I've seen. Another one is really just the way that people, their relationship with technology. So the fear, the anxiety that folks have. I'm not a tech person. I'm not good with technology. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm not sure how to do it, or I don't know what's going on. And it's this sentiment that some folks have around technology that that we as tech chaplains want to address and want to overcome. Because I believe, as everyone who has a piece of technology, and really technology is anything that solves a problem. This is something, Hannah, that you gave to me a couple of years ago. And so if you have a piece of technology that you're using that you are uncomfortable with, but you're using all the time, then that means you're at a constant low level of uncomfortability all the time. And so instead of having that be the case, you can deal with those feelings and emotions and find a way to say, I might not be good with technology right now, but I can be, and I will be. And that's where we step in to help you get there.
That's wonderful. As far as passing credit, Miss Ferguson, my 5th grade teacher, taught me that. So shout out.
Nice. Let's pass it on. Keep
who is your target customer or audience for Tech Chaplaincy? And also, we're excited. How can we help you get the word out?
Absolutely. So our target customer, our target client is a faith community who is open and affirming, social justice oriented, or a mission-driven organization. In my experience, I've seen that when you think of faith and technology, if it's like those holographic pastors or any of these other examples, some of those institutions that are embracing technology and using it very robustly, not all of them, but some of them are evangelical or conservative, or they have theologies that aren't necessarily as open and affirming and progressive and social justice oriented. And so there's this weird balance between being able to engage with technology and use it for the kingdom, but then also having the message that you're using that technology for not necessarily be as life-giving, and seeing the full humanity in everyone. So I want to support faith communities and or mission-driven organizations who have great theologies, who are lifting up people, who are working on all of the social justice issues that we need to have worked on, and who are struggling with their technology. I want to help them so that they're not struggling with technology. They're serving the people they want to serve. They're helping change the world for the better. And so bolstering those folks up is our number one goal. But that's certainly not where we stop. We're willing to help anyone who has issues with their technology. Of course, if we can be helpful, we want to serve. And the second question is how to get the word out. You're more than welcome to direct folks to our website, techchaplain.com. Here on Facebook, we're at facebook.com/techchaplain. We also have social media presence on Instagram, where we're tech_chaplain. And Twitter, I believe we are also tech_chaplain. Is that right, Javon?
That's correct. We are tech_chaplain on Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you. And we also have a Pinterest board where we're pinterest.com/techchaplain. So we have a couple places where we exist in the digital world. But the best thing you could do is send folks to our website, techchaplain.com, and share whatever we share on our social media with your social media communities. And it's also possible to even pay a session forward to someone. So if you know of someone who could use a Tech Chaplain session or two, or three, or however many, then you're more than welcome to pay a session forward or pay sessions forward to someone. That's also something that we offer to folks.
Awesome. And since you're talking about social media, if a faith community needed help creating and posting content on a regular basis to different social media outlets, is this something the Tech Chaplaincy Institute would do, or can you expand on a role you could play in that?
Gotcha. So our role isn't necessarily to manage your social media. Our role and our goal is to help you manage your social media. So we give you the training and the tools and the perspectives that you need and the approaches that you need to be able to do the work you want to do with social media. So after the course of a couple of sessions, we will help you get all of your systems set up, all of the tools that you may need, any of the software or the social media accounts themselves. And we have several resources on our Pinterest page, actually, that we'll post after this chat that have a laundry list of like when to post to which social media platforms and these kinds of pieces of information and tips and tricks. And if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll also be sharing that kind of information as well on a regular basis. So that's our approach to really all of the different ways of digital citizenry. Is we want to empower you to do what you need to do with your technology.
Nice. So many questions coming in. Is inbox zero also a phrase that you coined?
It is not. Inbox zero is not one that I coined. That one came before me, but it is something that I embrace.
Nice. Broad questions. Are there any tech platforms, that you especially recommend church leadership get to know?
Well, to answer that question is tricky because it depends. It depends on where your faith community is. Is it a large one? Is it a small one? It depends on what kind of services you're looking to do. Are you looking to engage with the community? Are you looking to engage with the community at large? Or you're looking to engage with your specific faith community? So it depends on what you're looking to do there. That would determine which tools would make the most sense for you. Most folks these days are using Google apps, so G Suite, that includes Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, these sorts of things. So getting really keyed in on how can you make those simple tools that you use every day work really well for you. That's definitely something that I would recommend that folks get really drilled into.
Nice.
Can I step in for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of social media, I think you really should prioritize knowing your audience, right? And so if most of your members are on Facebook, then that may be something that you want to prioritize, right? Or if you see that more people are on Instagram and Facebook, or because people are often already using social media platforms, even if they're not necessarily connected with their church or their faith community on there. And so in terms of prioritizing social media tech platforms, definitely, kind of learning and catering what you put out there to, what's already happening. So if, people are already on Facebook, you can create Facebook groups. So you create the page that people can like and things like that. And then you can, of course, expand from there. But to Shamika's point, using the things that are already working well for you or that you already kind of are plugged into and just maximizing them to the best of your ability.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
That was great, both of you. Thank you. What suggestions do you have for churches during COVID, and how can we better connect with each other?
That's a great question. I think that if you aren't already a part of an online community, like Facebook has several online communities that have been exchanging resources and questions and support and encouragement, that is so important in general, outside of a global pandemic, but especially right now. As a faith leader and as a faith community, being able to hear the stories of other communities and learn and grow from them and be able to ask your own questions. There's one Facebook group in particular, for example, I'm thinking of, like things I didn't learn in seminary, or things they never taught us in seminary, something along that line, that I'm a part of, that has thousands and thousands of people who share their resources and their stories and their questions in that platform. So I would recommend that. I would also say being such a time as this that's so unprecedented, it can be very easy to get really hard on yourself and push yourself so hard to do all of the things that you need to be doing and are being asked to do. But I would also say to remember to be gentle with yourself. And we were talking about earlier about digital health and wellness. If you are suddenly inventing a digital ministry for your faith community, and you are standing up all these different systems, and you're suddenly doing your services in different ways and engaging with audio and visual and all of these things, that's a lot. It's a lot to do. So be gentle with yourself and understand that this is a new thing that you're doing. It's a lot to be doing. And oftentimes faith communities have faith leaders who are doing this by themselves or with very few volunteers, and everyone's learning together. So it's not an easy thing. So my biggest piece of advice is to be gentle with yourself in this time.
And if I may add one more thing to that, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you are comparing your situation, you're comparing your tech situation to other people's situations who may have been doing this longer, who may have access to a different set of resources, you know, who have different people in place, you know, don't do it. That's not good. So like Shamika said, be gracious with yourself, but also resist the urge to compare yourself to other, you know, other faith-based organizations, other churches, and just, you know, to her point, do what you can with what you have, and maximize, you know, what you're already doing, and then incrementally take it to the next level. So,
absolutely, yes, great questions.
Are you able to help with hardware questions as well, i.e., how to set up audio for a podcast or things like that?
Yes. So we're also learning and growing as a community and organization. So there's definitely hardware that I have more experience in than not. But if it is an issue that you're having, we're going to do everything that we can to help you get where you want to be. And so if you're setting up a podcast, I know that the biggest thing there is getting the microphone together and all these kinds of things. And so, yes, we do have help for hardware. And if it's a hardware that we're not intimately familiar with, we will get intimately familiar with it so that we can better help you.
Cool. Are you planning to do group sessions or experiences? And how do you think, and so I talked a little bit more, but how do you think community contributes to tech, health, and wholeness?
Okay. So yes, we are planning on doing group sessions. That's definitely something we want to do. For example, if your faith community has staff or volunteers that you want to help train, that's something that we're definitely equipped to handle. And we also want to have more events such as webinars or just sort of teach-ins where you can come and learn more information about various technologies that might be pertinent to the work that you're doing. So we'll, again, if you sign up for our newsletter on our website, we'll be sending out more information about those kinds of events and opportunities, as well as posting them on our social media and on our website. The second question, how I think community contributes to tech, health, and wellness. As humans, we are creatures who are not meant to be by ourselves all the time. So having community is part of being healthy and well, having other people around you, having the ability to share your life and be shared with by other people. That helps you find balance, helps you find perspective. It brings you joy and gives you more than what you can get by yourself, for sure.
Cool. This is a two-part question, so I'm gonna ask it one part at a time. The first part is, can you speak on technological fears, such as how AI technology might transform spiritual understanding and change faith-based philosophy?
No pressure, just a small question there. No, that's a great question. That's a huge question. So there's definitely a trajectory around technology that's either it's going to save the world or it's going to destroy the world. And so when it comes to technology and in philosophy, or technology and spiritual understanding, if we suddenly found that AI could gain general intelligence, which right now it doesn't, it has specialized intelligence. But if AI could gain general intelligence and we were able to create something that could think for itself and exist and understand that it was existing and all of these sorts of things, then yes, we would have some conversations about, I think, therefore I am, I compute, therefore I am. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a philosopher, I'm an ethicist by trade. So I'm also still learning these things as well. So I would say, if you have a fear about what technology is going to be doing in the future, then that's understandable. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a pervasive fear. I would say, instead of having a fear, have a concern, have an investment. As tech companies are becoming more and more scrutinized, and there's a big techlash happening right now, which we can take advantage of, it's slowing things down. It's getting political leaders in the conversation around technology. We've seen that with Facebook recently, and we'll see it with other companies in the future. So as more and more people become part of the conversation about what's happening with technology and where it's going, those voices and that diversity is going to help sort of be the rudder for what direction the technology that we're building tomorrow is going to take and how it's going to affect us.
Cool. And here's the second part of that same question.
Mm-hmm.
How could technology create a new technocratic, united worldwide religion in the future? Or could it, or?
I could see that being a possibility, but I also think that anything's possible. And with technology, it can be seen from an instrumentalist point of view, which is that technology is not inherently good or evil. It's just an instrument, it's just a tool. And so depending on how you look at technology, can determine your relationship to it and what kind of things you think can come out of it. As far as creating a technocratic religion, I mean, if you look at some of the people in Silicon Valley, there's digital evangelists. There's definitely this ethos that is similar to or akin to a religion that folks can have around technology in places like Silicon Valley. But I don't know that in the same sense of the religions that have taken thousands of years to develop, that technology is going to usurp them or be in the same sort of conversation as those things.
Cool. So China is using facial recognition technology to target Uyghur Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
How will technology change the spiritual landscape in America in the future? And will it cause growth in some religions and dismantle others? And also, yeah, that's exactly what it says.
Okay. Technology, I don't know that it will change the spiritual landscape. I know that Pew has done some research on like the numbers and what denominations are growing, what denominations are not growing. A couple years ago, back in like 2015, 2014, around then, the largest growing faith community in the United States was non-affiliated, spiritually seeking individuals. So that is saying a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, but essentially the role of technology and spirituality is just now burgeoning and becoming center stage. All of the folks who've been doing digital ministry for the past 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, they're now finally getting their time in the sun. So it remains to be seen what kind of effects we will have theologically and spiritually when it comes to technology, but I'm excited for it. I think that the more folks are talking about it, the more folks are engaging with it and thinking through what does it mean to have a digital communion? What does it mean to get married over Zoom? What does it mean to, to change our liturgy in all these different ways? Like, I think it's great that we're having these conversations, and change doesn't necessarily always have to be a bad thing, as long as we are the arbiters of that change and we're doing what we can to mitigate whatever negative things might come from that change.
Will tech chaplains speak on these bigger issues at local churches?
I would love to. Absolutely. I think, like I said, more people having this conversation, the better, and the more folks involved in the conversations, the better. So absolutely, yes, I'd love to.
What do you think people are looking for most from churches on social media? Personal story or social justice or resources or?
So I can defer to Javon on this. I would simply say that folks are looking for you to be you. Whoever you are as a faith community, whatever you offer to the community, that's what folks are looking for. And it's a mixture of, there's an 80-20 rule or a 90-10 rule around social media sharing. So you're sharing 90% of your life and these kinds of things, and 10% of an ask. So if you are asking folks to come to your church all the time and not really sharing about what your church is and what you do and who you are, what you believe, and what you think about the things that are going on in the world, then it's hard for someone to answer that ask with a yes. But Javon, how would you answer this question?
I think that was a perfect answer, that people are looking for you to be who you are as a community. It shouldn't be your social media presence, your online presence shouldn't be an entirely different presence than what somebody will find when they walk into your community. Because like you said, it's not as we interact with each other face to face and as we interact with each other virtually, they're not opposites, they're complementary. And so yeah, I think being yourself and definitely sharing the information that you would normally share and connecting people to resources, I think is helpful. And again, I think it's about having your pulse on the community, so actually engaging with people, so not just throwing out flyers and then leaving them there and never coming back to check the comments or never checking the messages and things like that. Because you'll see, for example, I mentioned earlier, I run the social media for the church that I serve here. There are definitely posts that gain more traction, right? Videos gain a little bit more traction and what have you, but it also just kind of depends on your audience. And who you're engaging with. So definitely be yourself, be authentic. Your message, your essence should come through in whatever it is that you post.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we have time for about one more question.
Cool. Perfect. Here it is. I'm curious about how faith and technology can relate to different age demographics. What tools work well for ministering to children or for ministering to elderly congregants, and different people might have different comfort levels with technology.
Gotcha. So this is a great question, and I think to answer this question, oh yes, and we can definitely introduce others as well right before we close. So to engage with various age groups in spirituality and technology, there's tons of tools. It depends on how you're engaging with them. Is this faith formation? Is this just engaging with the worship service or a Bible study or a prayer service or whatever the case may be? I highly recommend the eFormation Learning Center. They have tons of resources on this exact thing. They are a fantastic resource out of Virginia Theological Seminary. And so I would highly recommend them, and there's others that we can pull some resources together and share out, and things like our newsletter and our social media. But I would say, depending on what kinds of, what you're looking to achieve with those groups, as I mentioned before, then that's going to determine the kinds of tools you'll be looking for. But with younger folks, something that gamifies the situation is often a good way to go. And then with an older generation, you want something that is user-friendly, and that is easy, that has a lower sort of bar to get into. if you will, and something that's a little bit easier to understand and work with. So with that being said, thank you so much, Hannah, for orchestrating the question and answer session.
Real quick, I dropped the link for the eFormation Learning Center in the comments on Facebook, so it's there.
Thank you so much. That is fantastic. Thank you, thank you. So what we'll do is once more, we'll reintroduce ourselves for those who are just joining us. My name is Shamika Goddard. I was born in San Antonio, Texas. I'm the founder of the Tech Chaplaincy Institute and the original Tech Chaplain. I love teaching people tech literacy and how to use the tools they already have and figure out what tools they may need in order to get where they want to be. Patrick, would you like to reintroduce yourself?
Yes, sure. My name is Patrick Rwamasirabo, and I've been with Tech Chaplain since its inception. And my field, I'm in digital and the cybersecurity forensics, and I've been in IT over 15 years. So I'll be part of the support for the Tech Chaplain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Javon?
My name is Javon Bracy. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I came to Denver about it's almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in a couple months to attend school at Iliff School of Theology. I graduated earlier this month with my Master's of Divinity. And I am part-time at New Hope Baptist Church here in Denver as the youth minister, as well as the social media minister. So my sort of area of tech chaplaincy primarily is digital communication.
Wonderful. Thank you both. And actually, thank you all. We're finding ourselves at the end of the hour, and this launch has been a lot of fun. Sorry about the crowd per y'all. We will do another trivia game one day, and it will be great. So in the meantime, I do want to take an opportunity to thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to all those who have supported this organization since its inception. I'd like to thank everyone who is here today and everyone who watches this in the future. Thank you for those, for Hannah and Catherine for sharing and facilitating. Thank you, Javon and Patrick, for all the work that you've put in to get this event off the ground. Thank you to everyone who's reached out to me, who's shared the posts for this event, and just really the outpouring of support has been so incredible. So thank you all so much for that. What we would like to do is just ask if you want to work with us, or if you know someone who would love to work with us, reach out to us. You can find us at techchaplain.com, where you'll find all of our contact information and how to get in touch with us and all of our resources. We would love for you to join our newsletter while you're there to be kept up to date on all of the things that are going on with the Tech Chaplaincy Institute, any events we may be having, and of course, all those great tech tips that we would love to share with you. We do also have a survey that we would love for folks to fill out. It's an opportunity for us to learn what your pain points are with technology and how we can better serve people in that space. So Patrick is going to be putting those links in the chat for you to take advantage of, as well as our email address, so our website and the survey itself. So thank you all so much for joining us. I could not ask for a better launch, and I'm hoping that my grandma is enjoying her day. I called her earlier today and she's so excited. And so thank you all so much for making this day what it was, which is incredibly special. Any last words from anyone before we go?
Nope, thanks y'all, and stay connected. And we are looking forward to working with you individually and collectively as your tech chaplain. So thanks for being here.
All right, thank y'all so much, and stay tuned. We will be back with more shortly. Bye.